The situation with Saka is so confusing. If you just look at Arsenal, everything seems perfect. They're at the top of the league, they're winning games, and look like a team that are going to win titles.
At the end of the season, I was watching Arsenal, and from the first game of the season, I said Arsenal will win the title.
But when you focus just on Saka, it feels completely different.
I thought 2 years ago, Saka and Odegaard were looking like I was thinking, oh God, these are the real deal. These are like, this is going to be like Salah and De Bruyne type of, they're nearly there, and they just never sort of, the team are probably going to win the league, but I think if Arsenal win the league this season, I don't think one of the attacking players will go, I've had an amazing season, I've been brilliant this season.
No player just drops off like this. It doesn't make any sense. Last year, it felt like Saka was pushing into those world-class conversations. He was tearing everyone apart. Everything he touched felt dangerous. You remember how good he looked at the Bernabeu versus Real Madrid?
Marino looking for Saka. Brilliant.
And now you watch him and it just feels off. In certain matches, it honestly hurts to watch him. He'll get into some decent positions, pick up the ball a few times, and then nothing. No spark, no impact, just very quiet, almost invisible in certain matches. This is the same guy that people were calling the face of Arsenal, the player everything was built around, and now he looks like a shadow of that version. So what the hell happened? Is he just exhausted after playing so many games? Is he carrying an injury and trying to push through it? Or is the system changing in a way that doesn't suit him anymore? Now some of you might be sitting there saying, what do you mean what happened? Saka was never really that good. And I would very much disagree with that sentiment. He was always at the top when it came to both chances created and big chances created. In the 2024 season, he had 20 goals and 14 assists. I mean, his brace against West Ham made him the youngest Arsenal player to get 50 Premier League goals. In fact, after 210 appearances for Arsenal, Saka had more goals and assists than Ronaldo did in his first 210 appearances in the Premier League. Then he started the 2025 season with 7 assists in 10 games, consistently helping Arsenal win matches. People complain that a lot of his assists came from set pieces, but to be able to accurately put the ball in the same spot every single time, from free kicks from corners, is impressive. It takes hours of practice and the execution has to be perfect. So Saka getting lots of corner and free kick assists was a reflection on how good his crossing had become. Then even when you took away his assists from set pieces, he was still at the top when it came to chances created from open play. He is a winger that at his best can create, can score. The type of player that can create something out of nothing. His left foot was always seen as a magical wand.
And your left foot is a wand.
To put into context, Bukayo Saka was already captaining Arsenal at 23 years old. Meanwhile, someone like Thierry Henry was only 22 when he first joined the club. That meant that Saka was ahead of schedule even compared to the greatest player the Premier League and Arsenal have seen. Saka has already performed on the biggest stages for Arsenal. Big Champions League nights, big Premier League games, and he had been doing it consistently for multiple seasons. He had picked up major recognitions too, like the Young Player of the Year and spots in the Team of the Season. But at the same time, it didn't feel like he was getting the same level of praise as others. Players like Phil Foden and Cole Palmer seemed to get more attention than anything that Saka ever did. It almost felt like Saka had to do twice the work just to get half the recognition. The 2022-2023 season was when Bukayo Saka really started to be seen as a true star. No one expected Arsenal to go from 5th to title contenders in just like 1 year. It was the first time that they were competing for the Premier League title at the time since 2004. And at the center of it all was Saka. He was involved in almost every attack. In 1v1 situations, he was unreal. He always knew when to speed up and when to slow things down. And for a player who was so young, he played with so much maturity. Arsenal didn't win the league that season, but it ended up being a turning point for Saka. He showed he could easily become a world-class player. With 15 goals and 11 assists in all competitions, he won the PFA Young Player of the Year. It was clear that Arsenal had a superstar coming through. He represented everything the club stood for and became the face of the new era under Mikel Arteta.
I think he represents this club in the best possible way.
In the next few seasons, he just carried that momentum forward. Now teams started to respect how dangerous he was, especially out wide, so they doubled up on him to take away his space. It made his game look less exciting, but his numbers actually went up. He finished with 20 goals and 14 assists in all competitions in the 2023-2024 season, the best output of his career. He also made history. He became the youngest player since Wayne Rooney to have back-to-back 25-goal contributions in Premier League season. He was also one of only 4 players to hit 50-plus goal contributions across 2 seasons. On top of that, he also became one of the youngest Arsenal players to reach 200 appearances and the youngest to hit 50 Premier League goals for the club. Then in the 2024-2025 season, he got 12 goals and 14 assists in all competitions, and this was despite missing a large chunk of time due to a hamstring injury. Part of the jump in goals came from the fact that he was now taking penalties, but if anything, that shows you just how mentally strong he was. After everything he had went through earlier in his career, a lot of players would have simply avoided that responsibility, but he stepped up, took the pressure, and became even better. Now, nobody really doubts him from the spot. A perfect example was obviously the Champions League quarterfinal against Real Madrid. He stepped up for a huge penalty. If he scored, the second leg would have been wide open, but he missed, trying a Panenka that didn't come off. Even with all the Madrid players crowding him, trying to get in his head, because naturally they're pricks, he stayed calm. You could see it on his face. He knew that he would respond, and he did. He dunked on them, recreating Henry's iconic celebration from 2006. Even with a missed penalty, he was the best player on the pitch that night in a game full of stars like Vini, Mbappe, and Jude Bellingham. A lot of people thought there was a massive gap between Saka and those players, but on that night he showed that he can compete with the best. When he shushed the Bernabeu, it wasn't about copying Thierry Henry. It felt more like he was sending a message. Whether it was to the players who tried to get in his head or just everyone watching, Saka was reminding people that he belonged at this level. But even with all of those performances, there were still people doubting him. Many still mock him for limping off the pitch, ignoring the fact that he's been one of the most fouled players in the league for the past few seasons. I mean, that's just what happens to elite wingers. Defenders kick them to slow them down, and you only see the impact years later. Others just decided to overlook all the times that Saka had been good in big games. He had scored in a Champions League quarterfinal against Bayern Munich, and it barely got talked about. At that point, Saka was about as close as Arsenal had gone to a Thierry Henry-esque player, the face of the club, one of the best in the world, and someone who represented everything Arsenal stood for. But the Saka we're watching today is not the same player. It seems like a lot of different problems have all hit him at the same time. It really started with the injuries. In 2025, he picked up a serious hamstring injury and was out for months. He actually got rushed back for the game against Real Madrid. That's probably why not long after that, he injured his other hamstring. When he returned, he just wasn't the same. Maybe his form at the back end of the 2025 season should have been a hint of what was to come, because now his explosiveness is gone. His shots don't have the same power. His balance looks off, and even his dribbling isn't as sharp as it was. Overall, it looks like he's dropped 20 to 30% in all the things that made him so special. Many have questioned Mikel Arteta and how he's managing the squad. Saka has been played non-stop for years, barely getting rest, constantly starting and playing full matches. It feels like he's been run into the ground, and now it makes you wonder if his long-term future was put at risk just to chase a Premier League title. At the same time, there's still some uncertainty. Many people still believe this is a short-term blip, a rough patch in his bad form. But to be honest, when you look at his performances from the back end of the 2024-2025 season and the 2025-2026 season, this does not feel like a short-term rough patch anymore. The physical side is obvious when you watch him. He just looks slower, more sluggish, both in how he moves and how he makes decisions. Sometimes he shoots when he should pass. Sometimes he crosses when a simple pass would have sufficed. He's picking the wrong options. I've seen him try to take on multiple defenders like before, but now it seems like it's easier for defenders to stop him. You compare him to players like Madueke or Semenyo, and there's a difference in sharpness. Now, it's not just him. You look at Foden and Palmer, they have also dropped off. In 2024, this was a heated debate because all three of them were so good. You fast forward now and it's mid versus mid versus mid. And they all kind of have the same story. Too many games, not enough rest, and injuries piling up. At some point, it just catches up to you. Because keep in mind, Saka has played way more games than those two guys. For the past 6 seasons, Saka has consistently been among the highest Arsenal players for minutes played. Like I'm telling you, this guy has been overused like a sponge. Tactically, things haven't helped either. Saka has become very predictable. Defenders study him. They double up on him and foul him constantly. Arsenal also rely heavily on attacks down his side, which makes it even easier for teams to focus on stopping him. There isn't enough threat through the middle or on the left to take that pressure off of him, so he ends up isolated and just crowded out. The way Arsenal play right now isn't helping Saka at all.
But the way they started the second half, basically playing in their own box and just playing negatively and sort of not...
It was very slow.
It was slow.
And even, Jane, with that 2-4, right? Obviously, that's something that you said you've seen it before, and people have done it before. But like, do you think he'd done that because of Kepa? Because he was taking he was going a lot slower than normally. But like, I just felt like it just I just felt we couldn't get out.
I
couldn't
mean,
get out.
Arteta has shifted the team towards more and more control over the years. The Arsenal we're watching now are very different than the one we saw in the 2022-2023 season. They want to be more organized defensively so that they never get caught on the counter. That passiveness means they move up the pitch slowly, and the fullbacks stay in safe positions to stop counters. For Saka, it's rough because instead of getting the ball on the move or in transition, he's getting it to his feet with one or two guys already ready to jump him. Teams know if they just stick two guys on him and force him onto his right foot, he's going to struggle, especially now because he doesn't have the same burst of pace to just run past them anymore. It makes it really hard for him to do the things that he used to do so easily. I think there's also some frustration with how his role hasn't really changed. Even when he's clearly struggling physically, he's still being asked to do the same things in the same system. I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans asking for Madueke and Dauman to be given more chances if Saka is so out of form. It's not a great look when your £300,000 per week player is getting outperformed by Noni Madueke. The injury timeline of course made everything worse. A grade 3 hamstring tear usually need months to properly recover, especially on the top level, but he came back quicker than expected after surgery, which might have caused long-term damage. Then he injured the other hamstring, likely from overcompensating. Now it feels like his body just isn't responding the same way anymore. Mentally, that plays a role too. When you can't do the things that you used to be able to do at the highest level, you start forcing things. You try too hard, you over dribble, you rush decisions, and when defenders already know your tendencies, it becomes even harder. As I stated earlier, there have been many moments where his decision making has hurt the team. There have been a lot of situations where he could have played in someone like Gyökeres, but he hasn't. Instead, he held onto the ball or took the shot himself. Saka only had 9 goals and assists combined in the league this season. The underlying expected goals numbers suggest that he should have had a few more to his name. It doesn't help that the chemistry around him hasn't been the same either. Injuries to players like Martin Odegaard and changes in the lineup have also broken the flow that he used to have on that right hand side. It feels so frustrating because we have seen how good he can be. Before, everything felt natural. Now at times it just looks forced. Even with his poor form, you can't talk about Bukayo Saka without discussing what he means to this club both on and off the pitch. We've seen him dominate games, step up in big moments, and really carry this Arsenal team. He represents something bigger than football. He's the symbol of that deep connection between Arsenal and the fans. For them, Saka is like a friend or even a family member, someone they have watched grow up. They have been a part of his journey since the beginning.
No deal. You win the league this year, but Saka goes in the summer.
That's a mad question, bro.
Ooh, wait, to win the league or they sell me?
Saka ain't going nowhere, bro.
Ever. That's not worth it. That's not worth it. That's our star boy. That's like your son.
I think second place.
Wow. Hey, that's real love, you know.
Club in England, cap. We'll win the league again.
That's real talk.
Keep Saka.
That's the people's champ. That's our son. We've been through so much.
Wow.
That's not a deal worth even contemplating.
If Saka,
he said it's not even contemplating.
It's detrimental for the rest of our season. It's a project, what we're doing. The project wasn't even supposed to be done yet. Trust the process. Keep Saka. We win the champs next year.
I don't want to hear that. That's a terrible question.
It's a process. He knows it's a process. Yeah. That's real love. I appreciate that, and I hope I can pay off their faith.
And Saka, he's an easy guy to root for. He's always stayed humble, even when he's become a superstar and multimillionaire. He's just a good guy off the pitch. So the real question is, where do Arsenal go from here? Arteta has already tried something new, like using Saka more centrally as a number 10.
Just another one on Bukayo, because he's played there before, I think, during the lockdown kind of seasons. What do you like about him in those areas compared to when he's playing with the right?
Well, he's more central, he's closer to the goal. It's a bit more difficult for the opponent to get his reference constantly. He can interchange position with the wide player as well, and he's so good at picking those spaces, and when he's there, he can really hurt you with the ball.
Maybe that could be the key. If he's lost some of his pace and explosiveness, then playing him through the middle is better. You can get him more touches, you can use his footballing IQ more, he can create more opportunities for other players. It also takes him away from those constant 1v1 battles out wide where he's getting gangbanged and kicked all game. Instead, he can get more involved, getting on the ball more, and creating chances for others. The great thing about Saka is he's still working hard every game. He's still tracking back, he's still giving everything he can for the team. And a lot of what he does off the ball has always gone unnoticed. And the reality is teams focus so much on stopping him because he's still one of Arsenal's biggest threats. That's why people still believe in him fully. I mean, there's a reason he's called Starboy. If Arsenal can find more balance in their attack and take some pressure off of his side, he can get back to his best. But more than anything, I think this poor guy just needs a break. Right now, he just looks physically drained, and with a World Cup coming up, it's not like he's gonna get much rest anytime soon. Playing that many games over the years, especially long stretches without a break, it looks like it's finally caught up to him. Now, fortunately for Arsenal fans, the rest of the team has really stepped up this season outside of Saka. To see just how good this Arsenal team has been, you have to watch this video right here.